final round of the 2015 Blancpain Sprint Series and GT Series season takes place on the seaside in Zandvoort in the Netherlands. But before we get the action underway, let's look back at last time out at Misano. The qualifying race was a night race and it was spectacular. Sergio Jimenez getting a great drive away off the line. But up at the front, it was the Nissan chasing down the Ferrari for the lead of the race. But the most important battle came further back. Laurens Vanthoor trying to pass Jules Simkowiak and he was sent into the wall. The Audi driver out of the race. Fortunately, he got out of the car, but he took a fracture to the hip and to the leg, and as a result, he'll miss this weekend's racing in Zandvoort. The Rinaldi Ferrari went on to win the qualifying race and started the main race from pole position. Patrick Kujala initially took the lead for Lamborghini, but Marco Seefried fought back, retaking the lead at the outside, and he moved back into a lead that would become unassailable. The next car to pass the Lamborghini was the Bentley. Maximilian Buch and Vincent Avril hoping to take control of the championship after the retirement of the Vanthoor Audi. The Nissan was making places in the hands of Sean Walkinshaw as Buch got out to hand over to his teammate Vincent Avril, just getting behind the line before the Bentley pulled away. Then the pressure was on from Mirko Bortolotti. A slow pit stop from the Huracan team meant that he was further back. But then the fight was on as Craig Dolby first of all attacked the outside of the Brazilian BMW, but he couldn't quite make it through. Valdeno Brito just about managing to hold on to fourth position. It was a fantastic scrap between the pair of them, and Craig Dolby tried to do it again a lap later. This time the Always Evolving Motorsport seemed to have got the move done, but he took too much speed into turn 13 and ended up running wide again. As the rain started to come down, the Brazilian BMW held on to that fourth place. But despite the slippery conditions, the Rinaldi Ferrari held on to take a superb victory. They took pole position and won the qualifying race and the main race at Misano, bringing them into the title fight. For this weekend at Zandvoort, BMW Team Brazil will be hoping to finish the season strongly. They're lying second in the overall Blancpain GT Series Teams Championship and will be hoping they can consolidate it. Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez have been unfortunate this season in the Zero car, and Jimenez hopes they end the season well.
It's a very nice track, it's very challenging, it's very difficult, no place to mistake, so you need to be very focused all the time. The asphalt is very old, so this is making it more difficult because the car is very difficult to set up, but I think it's a challenge for all the drivers in the race.
Thanks to Vanthoor's injury and Enzo Eid having to miss this race, there's been a change around at WRT. In the number 2 car is going to be Frederik Vervisch and Nicky Tim. Nicky Tim making his Blancpain Sprint Series debut. Vervisch raced in Baku last year. But in the number 1 car, Robin Freins, the championship leader, is being joined by Christopher Mies, and at his home circuit, Freins is confident of the championship.
Zandvoort is, I think, a bit more an Audi track than a Bentley track. But we will see. The Bentley was quick in Misano as well, and we didn't expect that, so we will see after qualify where we are. We're still leading the championship by 8 points, so we have the biggest chance to win it. Yeah, it's good fun to drive here the last round of the Blancpain and hopefully get that title.
There's been a bit of a change around at the GT Russian team as well. 2 new drivers for this weekend. In the 71 car, Marco Asma, the Estonian, is partnered by Russian Roman Mavlanov, who's making his Blancpain Sprint Series debut, while in the number 70 car, Alexei Karachev, who is now the Pro-Am champion, is being joined by Indy Donchi. The local man lives just half an hour from Zandvoort, and he has raced with the GT Russian team before in the Blancpain Endurance Series. Despite it being his debut, he's very ambitious.
For me, the aim is top 8 qualifying, at least the Super Pole. That will be good for us. So yeah, let's aim for that, and in the race we will see where we end up. I think a lot can happen.
There's 2 Dutchmen at the wheel of the 83 Bentley as well. Jules Simkowiak and Max van Sprunteren teaming up once again in the Silver Cup. That car is a different car to the one that was written off by Simkowiak in the accident with Vanthoor in Misano. But in the 84 Bentley, that's where the championship could be decided. Max Buch and Vincent Avril just 8 points back from championship leaders Vanthoor and Freins, coming into the final race of the season.
I'm really happy to be in this position at the end of the year, when I thought what my expectations have been at the beginning of the season, where I just wanted to maybe have a podium finish with the new car to get used to everything, and being in the position to fight for the championship is just great. And I just give everything I have, like every race, and then we will see how how we end up. In 2013, when I won here with Alan Day, last year finishing P4, could have been podium with Maxi Götz, and I like it. It's kind of old school. I think it's a track also for the Bentley. In the fast corners, we are really stable, having good aerodynamics. Struggling a bit in the tight part of the circuit, but it should be fine.
The Lamborghini Gallardo is here once again. Hans Reiter's team bringing the 88 car for Albert von Turnen Taxis and another Dutchman, Nicky Katsberg. Katsberg has really stamped his authority as one of the top GT drivers around this season. The high point this year was winning the qualifying race in Moscow. A superb drive from the pair of them, and fingers crossed they'll have another weekend to remember here in the dunes.
I think we should be able to do pretty well. We did a little preparation here 2 weeks ago. We finished on the podium, so I think we should be good. Obviously, Audi are stepping up their game this weekend, so it might be tough, but we're gonna go for a podium. And I always like it here. It's a special track. It's, I would say, a hardcore track. If you go off, you're in the wall, and I quite like that. It's a bit of a challenge, so yeah, looking forward.
The always evolving motorsport Nissan looked set for a podium in Misano until a pit stop problem relegated them down the field. But still, there were some great comeback drives, and overall, Sean Walkinshaw is pretty satisfied with how his debut season in Blancpain has gone.
Overall, it's been pretty good, especially the last couple of rounds. We've been proving that both myself and Craig in the car are really strong together. It's taken us a little while to get up to speed, but it's also been, we've had quite a lot of bad luck this year, so it's good. Even at Misano, we had a problem in the pit stop when we probably would have been on the podium. Just hopefully this weekend we can have a very smooth weekend, no issues whatsoever, and show our true pace and get actually finally get the results.
When we arrived in Italy, the Rinaldi Ferrari had no real shot of taking the championship, but a perfect weekend means that they are now just 17 points off Zandvoort and Freyns at the top. Marco Seefried is unavailable this weekend, so it'll be Jeroen Bleekemolen in the car alongside Norbert Siedler, who always knew Misano would be strong.
I think we knew before that we could be quick there, and we have a chance to win that race, and we did it. Yeah, it was great for us. All the team did a great job, Marco as well, and yeah, we did it. We are trying our best, We are just 17 points away from Lawrence and from Prince. But anyway, we will push for the weekend, and I have Jeroen as a teammate, and then at the end we will see what's happening.
It's the final qualifying race of the season here in Zandvoort. It's the weekend where the titles will be decided, and hopefully it'll be a very entertaining weekend of racing. My name's Jack Nichols. Alongside me in the commentary box on a beautiful October day is John Watson. 17.7 degrees the air temperature, track temperature 22.9. A lovely day to be in the dunes.
I mean, it's Indian summer weather here in Zandvoort. Look at that flock of sparrows or whatever they are. Magnificent circuit, magnificent day, and let's hope we have a magnificent sprint race.
Absolutely, and the sprint points title cannot be decided today, but the GT Series overall points can be. You can see there Robin Freyns and Laurens Vanthoor are currently 27 points clear of Maximilian Buch. So if Freyns finishes in front of Buch today, then he wraps up the overall Blancpain GT Series title, which is a combination of the endurance events and the sprint events. So whilst that'll be very keen for Robin Freyns to wrap up, the big focus is on the main Blancpain Sprint Series title, which he leads at the moment by only 7 points from the Bentley that's starting on pole position.
Indeed, and it's going to be a big ask. I mean, there's only 8 points for a win here this afternoon, unlike the 25 for a victory in the championship race on Sunday. But ultimately, winning this race is important, largely because it's all about track position again, and having pole position in Zandvoort, pretty much like every circuit, I would say, around the world these days, pole position is king, because if you've got that pole position, you've got the chance to take control, and that's what it's all about. It's controlling your position, and even if you're not the quickest car on the track by any chance at that point, you've got track position, you can control the race. The one part of the racetrack which is going to be the principal overtaking area is here on the main straight down into Tarzanherpen. But of course, as we've seen in previous years, it's easily defended. In fact, we've seen incidents where cars have hit the barrier on the inside of the corner, a massive accident there last year. So it is a place on the circuit, easily defended, but that's where the maximum attack is most likely to be seen coming in this 1 hour event.
Absolutely, and off the start you have to say the Bentley's going to have the advantage. I spoke to Robin Freyns after the qualifying session. He said, well, words to the effect of, that damned Bentley and the turbo engine in that Bentley really helps it get away off the line quickly. So it'll be fascinating to see their duel coming down towards the hairpin at turn 1, the Tarzan corner. For those of you who have been watching us throughout the year, you'll notice a switch around in liveries. So Christopher Mies is racing with Robin Freins, and they are now in the black car with the yellow flashes on them. Here's a look at the grid ahead of the qualifying race, and on pole position is Maximilian Buch. Robin Freins alongside him in the #1 WRT Audi. Then it's Nicky Thiem making his Blancpain Sprint Series debut. He'll be third on the grid ahead of Norbert Siegler, who's still in the championship fight. Winkelhock 5th and Katzberg in 6th position. Then it's 7th place for the Nissan of Craig Dolby. Mavlanov, a great performance in the GT Russian car to start there in 8th place. Then up into 11th place, you got Stippler and Sergio Jimenez. 13th and 14th for Vareno Brito and Philippe Salaquada, and the back row of the grid is going to be Anders Fjordbach and Max van Splunteren, who crashed in qualifying and as a result will have to start in 16th place. So the car's starting to weave their way around, and yes, the championship leading car is that black car with the yellow flashes, the #1 machine of Robin Freins and Laurens van Thor, because and Christopher Mies, I should say, because Van Thor's injury last time out means he's not racing. They also wrecked the car. They had to find another car, and they decided to stick with the solid car that had been the #2 car all year and had taken pole positions and the like, and that is now the car that Robin Freins is aboard.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very simple equation for WRT. They had to go with the best available shot to support Robin Freins, to a lesser degree now Laurens van Thor, who sadly, he is here this weekend, but he's not able to drive and carrying those injuries to his hip. So WRT had to focus on Robin Freins to give him the best car, the best chance to consolidate, and it is now just a 7-point advantage he holds over the Bentley as they come into this 1-hour qualifying race, and I'm sure it is going to be very tense on the front row of the grid as they come down to take the lights.
This is on board with Norbert Siegler. His view back from 4th position. He's got Marcus Winkelhock and Nick Katzberg right up behind him. Two absolutely rapid racers. And we've got 6 Dutchmen in the field as well. Robin Freins, one of them, starting on the front row of the grid. We've got Jeroen Bleekemolen as well. Indy Donchi, Nick Katzberg, and Jules Simkowiak and Max van Splunteren. Round the final corner they come, waiting for the lights to go out and the final qualifying race of the season to get underway. Maximilian Buch on the Bentley is in pole position. Alongside him on the front row is Robin Freins. The second row is Nicky Thiem and Norbert Siegler as we wait for racing to begin here in Zandvoort. Watch for the lights, there they go, and it's a great start from the Bentley. Also a good start from Nicky Thiem, who's looking to the inside, and the Ferrari's going to get through past Robin Freins as well as they hurtle down towards turn 1. Is the Ferrari of Siegler going to end up in 3rd place? Freins holds it around the outside and spins. Round goes the championship leader into the gravel trap, and he may well be beached.
Well, I was going to say, what a poor start from Robin Freins. He had every opportunity to keep pace on the contact coming through just before we get into the Hugenholz.
Off into the wall, and that is Anders Fjordbach, and that'll bring out the yellow flag. We may even have to have the safety car if Robin Freins can't get out of there, but Bentley leads, and they are going to be laughing all the way to Sky Flag at the moment.
All you have to do is keep pace with the pole-sitting car. Robin Freins, he may have had a problem, we don't know. We're being, let's say, too critical about his poor start, but that allowed the field, the Ferrari and others around him, to swamp him. He tried to go around the outside, which is a doable thing here in Zandvoort, but on a set of tires that's still probably not up to race temperature or race pressure, put himself under pressure, and the mistake came, and he's in the gravel. I mean, I couldn't have made it up if I tried.
So, Robin Freins in the gravel trap, and it doesn't look as though he's trying to get out of there. He desperately doesn't want assistance from the marshals, but it doesn't look as though there's going to be any options, and I can see the yellow flags and full course yellow boards being held out, and there is Robin Freins, and he is absolutely gutted.
I mean, without being too hard on Robin Freins, I would not want to be in his position when I walk back into my team garage to explain that one, and Laurens van Thor, his face. I mean, he's not looked a happy camper all weekend for fully understandable reasons, and that clearly...
I wouldn't be surprised if Freins got a tap down at turn 1. It looked to me as though either the Ferrari or his teammate got a little nudge. You'll see him on pole position, didn't get the best start in general.
More than a car length behind when they got to the start-finish line. Now he's back into 3rd equal at best, and let's see, the Ferrari's on the inside. There's only so much. No, I think that was pretty much all on his own. I would say he just lost the back of the car. Tire temperature, tire pressure, wrong part of the track, dirtier part of the racetrack. The higher up you are, all the negatives that were going to be available. Well, he pulled the lever on the old machine, and it came up lemon, lemon, lemon.
So Robin Franks will be dragged out of the gravel trap. The safety car is out, and this means they'll have to start the race tomorrow from the very back of the grid, which is even worse news, really, than, okay, they'll lose 8 points, and if it stays like this, they'll lose the championship lead, but then they've got to start at the back of the field tomorrow.
But their joker in the pack is in second place, Nicky Team, who drove, in my opinion, one of the drives of the 24 Hours of Spa this year. He is in second place. He's obviously, it's irrelevant where far behind the Bentley he is. Robin Friens gets the car out, spins it up. I mean, there's gravel everywhere. You can see it coming from the back of the car as he pulls away. Now, lost a lap. All he can do is join up to the tail of the field. And what recompense can he do from there? Nothing. Christopher Mies was going to be in the car with him, is in the car with him. He's now thinking, well, all I can do is the best I can do. The only thing that will help Robin Friens, and it would take a massive amount of help, is for further safety cars and for him by track position to make that lap up, but that's not really going to happen. So it's going to be down to Nicky Team to try and put himself in a position to challenge the Bentley, whether it's Max Book or Vincent Avil, in the case he'll take over that car, and just try and get an Audi victory. Look at the mess of the racetrack. That's on the racing line. So, oh dear me. Give me strength, please. Somebody give me strength.
Safety car coming in this lap, and the racing will resume with Maximilian Buch in the lead. It's good news for the Ferrari as well. They've managed to climb up into third position, but still behind that lead Bentley. You can see there is going to be mud and grit down at the first corner, but the safety car is coming in as they come around the final corner. Safety car pulls in, the racing gets back underway after a dramatic first corner here at Zandvoort, and it's Maximilian Buch who is leading across the line. Nicky Team's in second place for the WRT Audi, and then it's Norbert Siedler in third. Challenge on for fourth position as Nick Katzberg tries to get past Marcus Winkelhock, but he's not going to be close enough on the run into Tarzan this time through, and everyone's going to make it through safely on the dirty inside line now. And so now the race will begin to settle down with Maximilian Buch leading the way, just 0.7 of a second clear of Nicky Team at the moment, with Siedler in that third position, all line astern through there. And Frank Stippler's lost quite a few places at the start. He started 11th and he's now down to 13th position, so he's lost a couple of spots. But did you see how close the Ferrari was there? Norbert Siedler, he's going to try and get past Nicky Team at the same time.
Well, I mean, the Ferrari is the sort of the car at the moment. From the results we saw in Misano just a week ago, that car was absolutely flying. Norbert Siedler would like to think he can do a very similar performance here this weekend. It'll be a more difficult task because for the Ferrari, strengths showed in Misano was on that long straight. Here the straight is probably much the same sort of length, but it's a different kind of exit onto it. It's a more aero-dominant corner than the corner onto the straight in Misano.
So 6 minutes gone. Max Buch sets the fastest middle sector of anyone and edges away a little bit up at the front. This will be very interesting to see what Siedler can do. Then he's in that lime green 333 Ferrari. That's his teammate Jeroen Bleekemolen on the left-hand side. Thumbs up from him because he's pretty happy, I think, with the position that Ferrari has ended itself up in as they come through the final corner at Arie Luijendijk and across the line. The gap was just 3.5 of a second between Tim and Siedler last time through. Now as they come across the line, it's gone up by a 10th, but still Siedler is there, the back end getting away a little bit under braking, someone going defensive, that's the Brazilian BMW, and nevertheless here's the look up the inside, a very late move from Mavlinov, and he gets past, and Brito tries to fight back, is unable to, so that is now 8th position.
That's a strong pass, well executed. Those Brazilian BMWs, not easy to pass, they don't have the straight line speed, but that was just by getting into position, being late in the brakes, and just holding his ground, so good pass.
Yep, that is Roman Mavlinov, who's at the wheel, a silver ranked driver, an impressive racer. He's campaigned GT cars for a few years now, and that car has moved out of Pro-Am class into the Pro category. We're on board with Sergio Jimenez up into Skyvlak on the exit down towards the Masters corner, and he's got his teammate Attila Abreu, Valdena Brito up in front of him. There's Attila Abreu on the left and Caca Bueno on the right.
Yeah, they're happy boys, but more importantly, the battle at the front is 1.2 seconds advantage to the Bentley over the Audi. So Nicky Team hasn't been able to keep that contact to the Bentley that he felt, or we felt might be possible, and put the Bentley under pressure, force Maximilian Buch into a situation where either he would maybe overuse the tyres, but it looks to me like the Bentley's got the speed. It's probably, in this context, the lighter of the two cars on its tyres. Remember, this is a circuit built within the sand dunes at Zandvoort, a lot of wind-blown sand. That makes the track a very abrasive, not an easy circuit for tyres, and the Bentley's fractionally easier on them.
So the gap again increases by just a smidgen to half a second between Thiem and Seidler. Nicky Thiem and Frederik Vervisch together in that number 2 WRT Audi, the livery that has been used by Van Thor and Freins this season. Here's a look at the start replay again on the run down towards the first corner. Freins really got swamped, and then I'm still not 100% convinced there was an attack from the Ferrari. It's so difficult to tell.
There's clear air, I would have said. I mean, I can't see any contact. I think just because he was high up on the corner, it was again temperatures, pressures, and the idea is of a sort of, when it's all up to temperature, it works. If you've got a situation where the tyres, pressure-wise, temperature-wise, are low, then it's so real. You've got to be delicate on the steering, delicate on the throttle. And I think maybe also there was an element of frustration at having done all the hard yards in qualifying to give it up.
Absolutely. So personal best, or best first sector of anyone, by Norbert Seidler on this lap so far. So he is continuing to push. We've kind of got a 2-pack breakaway, haven't we? Because then there's about a 2-second gap to this fighting squabble. As they come out of turn 10 down towards the hairpin. Frank Stippler up behind the 70 car, which is Indy Donji in that yellow Mercedes SLS. And he is making his Blancpain Sprint Series debut. He's raced before in the Endurance Series, both with the GT Russian team and with Rover Racing. But now he's making his Sprint Series debut. Lives just half an hour from here in Donji. Across the line comes Maximilian Buch, leading the way, but look how close it is for second position still. Nose to tail, and Seidler, nothing he can do at the moment to get past Nicky Thiem. Into Tarzan. We go on board with Seidler, and this is what the chase looks like.
So, coming up into this little flick to the right, all about really getting position for Tarzan Herpen. Pretty much staying on the left to the centre of the racetrack, hugging the curb all the way around, then get the car straightened up, get the power on, over the top of the breast, just clip that bit of white paint, then back into the left on that curbing, then up again, looking skyward. The corner's called Sky Flock, not Sky Dish, but Sky Flock, and you can't see the dip, and then the compression and the apex, all which come very quickly, and then even quicker, you're into turn 9, which is into master corner, then into turn 9.
Frantic stuff, isn't it, from Seidler as he works the wheel of his Ferrari 458, run by the Rinaldi team, who have had a very successful season as they come down towards the chicane. So let's have another look at the start as the lights go out. There we go, and you can see Katzberg was there on the outside, almost got squeezed into by Freins as he tries to hold on around the outside, and it does just seem to spin away from him, doesn't it? And this is the view on board with the Ferrari. This is the rear facing.
So the Audi will be on the outside of this picture. There is the Audi. Looks to me as if, well, already Freins has gone into the gravel. Looking at the start again. So there's the Audi.
Bentley.
Let's get a look and see if there is. Ferrari tries to come down the inside, squeezes alongside. And this is going to be the critical point of the corner. So lots of clear air at this point. Lots of, well, it's very difficult to tell. It's sort of the way the car breaks away. You could say, I don't think he was touched personally, but you could say, well, the way it broke away was quite quick. So, you know, it only took a fraction of a touch. We know that there was contact in practice this morning. We were talking to one of the other competitors, and they got, in fact, it was going back to Mazzano. The Nissan got just fractionally sideswiped by the BMW. It just about took the dust cap off the tyre valve. That's how small it was. And that could have been the same. But from our view, I think that was a clean pass.
48 minutes to go here in Zandvoort. It's the title deciding weekend in the Blancpain GT Series, and as it stands, the overall title won't be won today by Robin Freins. And Max Buch is going to go some way to, well, if it stays like this, they would take the lead of the Blancpain Sprint Series by 1 point going into the race tomorrow. And if that would happen, they'd be starting on pole position with Robin Frank starting in last position. So it would certainly be a dramatic way to end the season in Ines Stippler. And a bit of damage on the front left there. That's not going to be enough to end the race, but maybe the amount of retirements and problems they've had is difficult for the 4 car. Contact between cars 3, 3, 3 and 1 is under investigation, so the stewards are looking into it.
They may have other cameras that will be able to give you an insight into what happened. The one observation I had was that the shot looking at the outside of the corner was that the breakaway was quite abrupt. Now, all the shots that we have seen, it's difficult to tell. I didn't think there was. I think the consensus view was there was no contact. But nonetheless, it's been decided by race stewards to have a look just to make sure, because it's such an important and vital part of the championship.
Absolutely. So this is the battle now between Felipe Salaquada, who is running in 11th place. Indy Donchi is behind him, so I think Salaquada's got past Donchi on this last lap. Then it's Max van Splunteren behind them. But here you can see that the Ferrari up at the front has dropped back just a little bit from the WRT Audi in second place of Nicky Thiem. But there's our race leader, Maxi Buch, who's pulling away.
He's just pulling away 3/2 of a second a lap. We're on lap 8. So he's got a 2.2 second advantage when they came across at the end of lap 7. But the beauty for Maximilian Buch is that he's got literally clear air. He can choose whichever part of the racetrack he wants to place the Bentley, and he's not having to make or accept compromises from influence of aerodynamics or other cars involved in the battle where you have to make maybe adjustments to your entry or to your exit of a corner. So Max Buch probably content, I would have thought, as always he is.
Yes. Pit stop window opens in 10 minutes time. Between 35 and 25 minutes into the race, you have to come in, change all your tyres and change your driver as well. I'd expect most of these guys to stay out as long as possible, because they're probably, well, these guys are the ones who were picked to do the Super Pole session, so by default the teams think they're slightly quicker than their teammates. As you see, Norbert Siedler. It's not an easy car to drive, that Ferrari.
Well, I think that it's got a little bit less downforce than the Audi would have, or maybe the Bentley has also. I wouldn't be surprised in the case of the Ferrari that it might be, of the leading cars, the one that will come in earlier, because they're going to put in Mr. Zandvoort, almost, I'm going to say something, but almost certainly born somewhere within the estate of Zandvoort, because he knows the place so well. And if anybody can make that Ferrari competitive, it's going to be him.
Yeah, and we're going to have a look again. And this is the Ferrari, so we're looking if there's any marks on the nose of that car that would have indicated contact between that and the number 1 WRT Audi. Can't see any, but it would have been such a tiny touch anyway.
If the touch came, it would have been coming, in my view, from the left quarter back rather than from the front of the car. So I mean, everybody's just checking everything out to see if there's any cause that could see a penalty being applied to the Ferrari, but from what I've seen, I think it was a mistake on the part of the Audi driver, and I'm sure he will have to put his hand up and say similarly when he gets out of the car.
Yeah, well, that'll be interesting, won't it, to hear what Robin Franks has to say. Across the line comes Max Buch, now 2.6 seconds up the road from Nicky Thiem, who's now up to 1.3 seconds clear of Siedler, and then Nick Katsberg is still pressuring Marcus Winkelhock. That's the battle you're seeing here. Marcus Winkelhock in 4th position in the Phoenix Audi, up against the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini of Nick Katsberg in the 88 Gallardo there. So they come through the Hugenholz corner and then head out through Hunsrück and up through Slottermacher up towards Skyflak. These two not quite having the pace of the men in front at the moment. The battle is still that of the Brazilians that are running nose to tail in 9th and 10th positions. So no luck for them on the beaches today. So Buch's lead up to 2.6 seconds. That last lap, it was a 0.2 of a second advantage that he took. So it certainly looks as though the Bentley's got the pace at the moment.
Well, I think it's probably got fractionally more consistent pace than Nicky Team, who will be pushing absolutely to the limit, as I've witnessed him do, and was extremely impressed by that effort in Spa. But the gap, 2.6 seconds first to second, 1.3 between second and third, and then the gap between third and fourth extending out to 2.6 seconds.
And then Craig Dolby is all by himself at the moment in the Nissan in 6th position. He's 3.2 seconds behind the battle in front, 4.4 seconds ahead of the battle behind. So that's fairly lonely. There is Vincent Abril getting ready, as is Jules Simkowiak. Simkowiak looked very quick in qualifying, but his teammate Max van Splunteren crashed the car in qualifying, so as a result Simkowiak's pace didn't really get to be shown, but keep an eye out for him when he gets in the car.
In fairness, Simkowiak did a strong job this morning. I mean, I think coming on the back of a controversial incident in Misano and being under the cosh a little bit for his role in that, then to come back strongly as he did, and doing it in the car which is not the regular car, because his regular car is on its way all the way back up to Cumbria to be repaired, whereas the sister car here, Max Book, at his best, leading a race. There's some drivers really actually shine more brightly when they're in the lead than they might sometimes do when they're actually in the heat of a battle, and I think Max Book is certainly shining brightly right now in the Bentley. The gap 2.7 seconds, and it's probably going to be over 3 by the time they come across the line at the end of one more lap, lap 11, and nothing that Nicky Team is being able to do, and the only thing he has got is a reasonably comfortable 1.6 second gap between himself and third place Norbert Siedler, so he's not under any real pressure either, so all they can do is consolidate with 6 points, but it sounds to me like Bentley might find themselves 1 point in the lead.
Yep, absolutely, if that's how it remains. And as you say, Nicky Tim now is going to be at least 2.8 seconds back, maybe a little more, as you say, at the end of this lap. That's Sergio Jimenez we're watching, and Robin Freitz is at the back of this pack now, but he's a lap down on them, so he's trying to get past the guys behind, and he's just at the back of this queue, but he's a lap down already. We go on board with Sergio Jimenez as they come across the line. So Maxi Bouk leading the way by 3 seconds, and if that stays like this, he and Vincent Abril will lead the championship by 1 point over Freitz and Vanthor. Of course, Vanthor not racing this weekend. Siedler would still be in contention, but he'd be a little further back. What's that, 14 points off the lead of the championship. Still not an insurmountable advantage, but Abril and Bouk, 1 point advantage, starting on pole position.
And that's the key, it's the pole position, the control of the start. Maximilian Bouk did a brilliant job, brought it down to the start-finish lights. Lights went green, and he nailed it, and he just dropped Robin Freitz. And as a consequence, that was then the beginning of that chain reaction that resulted in Freitz ending up in the gravel trap, in my opinion, from what I've seen, and I've seen pretty much all the angles that are available to us as commentators, that it was a mistake from Freitz.
So there are the Bentley crew getting ready, and things are going well for them. A lot better than they could have expected, I think. Contact between Stippler and the 74 car of Anders Fjordbach is under investigation at turns 1 and 2. So we saw Stippler come in with damage. Could have been from that. Yeah,
that possibly occurred on the opening lap into the first corner, because we saw Stippler's car then come in shortly thereafter with damage to the left front bodywork. So that sounds like there might have been a bit of left rear, right front, left front, right rear, whatever way around. Anyway,
yeah,
damage to one of the cars, which is now Stippler's car, retired from the race at the end of lap 1.
So that means it would be a WRT back row at the moment as it stands, with Freitz and Stippler. So you see Craig Dolby coming through in a fairly lonely 6th position, and then this is side-by-side action coming down into the right-hander, and this is Van Splunteren trying to get past Philippe Salaquada for 12th position. Indy Donci's finally managed to do it then on that last lap. Indy Donci's got up into 11th place, and now it's Max Van Splunteren who is trying to get past Salaquada next in that 83 Bentley, and right behind them is Robin Freitz.
Yeah, so Robin Freitz clearly believes he's got the pace. So you've in effect got what was the number 1 Audi racing the number 83 Bentley. These are the two cars that had their monumental a week ago. Hopefully that's not going to be a case in point, but it was Jules Simkoviak, and he's looking hard to find a way past Philippe Salaquada. Dumped the inside. I mean, he showed the nose. He's a bit of a goer, Simkoviak. I mean, he's not shy in putting his nose down the inside. Not maybe quite the experience of Salaquada. Look, Robin Freehans slips up the inside. He thinks he's going to slip up the inside, but outmaneuvered by the time they get into turn 10. And the Bentley had track position, but again, up the inside for Robin Freehans. Good racing brain from Robin Freehans at this point, but it's all a bit late, you know.
Yeah, he's trying to get past his Max van Splunteren at the wheel at the moment of the 83 Bentley, and Freehans is only one position behind them in terms of on the timing and scoring, but he's a lap down behind them as well. As we go on board, you can see how much he's closed in over the last few laps, but he's been stuck at the back of this queue for a little bit of time now, Robin Freehans, as he comes out of the final corner and flashes past the grandstand there on the left-hand side, Pitts and Paddock on the right, under the bridge and down towards turn 1 again. So no movement for Freehans. Even if he gets past, he'll still be in 15th position. He could overtake everyone in the world and he would be still in 15th position. Here is Frank Stippler going up the inside of the 74 car of Anders Fjordbach late in the day, and well, he was pretty much alongside. That's all we got of it before we moved away.
In fairness, the bit of the racetrack that Frank Stippler was on the opening lap, it's never going to be a viable opportunity, and the Audi on the outside had in effect the right. So you put yourself up the inside, you're going to put yourself into jeopardy, and the consequence was the left front damage, and regrettably Stippler, number 4 Audi, is out of the race.
Yep. 36 minutes to go, so only a minute till the pit stop window opens. And there is Maximilian Buch, our race leader. And you do wonder whether Rinaldi will throw that gamble and bring in the team on the first possible opportunity, bring in Siegler, sorry, at the first possible opportunity, and get Jeroen Bleekemolen in the car. This is the continuing battle further back between Van Splunteren and Salaquada, with Robin Freehans there, but not really there. Just trying to make up places and get through. Big sideways moment there for Van Splunteren. So Freehans tries to go to the inside line, but isn't quite able to.
And he's got to back out of it because, you know, the aero effect comes into play. And then once you get onto the straight through the long area Lion Dyke curve, the Bentley, we know, is the marginally quicker of the two cars in a straight line, and it'll be able to pull away relatively comfortably on the way into the Tarzan hairpin.
These are the two Brazilian BMWs. Pit window opens now. It's Valdeno Brito in the 77 car ahead of the Zero machine of Sergio Jimenez, who was Lewis Hamilton's teammate in Formula Renault UK back in the day. And this is Maximilian Buch leading the race then. 3.3 seconds his advantage up at the front, but that's the kind of time that can disappear like that in a pit stop if you run into a problem.
Well, the other thing, of course, is another safety car intervention. We never know. That's the unpredictability of any form of motorsport, but with the pit stop window available, I would assume that Bentley would keep Maximilian Buch out until, what, 2 minutes to go or 3 minutes to go. He's running in clear air, he's got no challenge, he can run his own race, he's not doing any damage to the tyres, so why bring him in? And the same might be said of Nicky Thiem.
But Bleekemolen standing ready in the pit lane. We just saw him in that shot.
He's the one I suspect of the top three that may well make that cut into the pit lane. Get Bleekemolen in, he knows the racetrack, he might make the difference. Is the Ferrari, it is coming in.
So in comes Norbert Siedler for the Rinaldi Ferrari team. He's the first man to pit of our leaders. Jeroen Bleekemolen will take over. And Bleekemolen actually last year spun on his outlap in one of the races, but I think that was in the damp conditions, so we can let him off on that one. But he comes into the pits, and he's the only man to come into the pits.
I think
comes Van Splunteren.
The tail of the field are coming in, so there's no benefit for them to continue out. So the principal players are now going to be Buch, Thiem, and
oh no, it's not the Bentley. That was Craig Dolby in the Nissan.
Okay, so the Dolby
in this silhouette, it looks like a Bentley, doesn't it?
The light, the backlight on the straight, of course, is so low on the sky as we get into the early week in October.
So away goes Bleekemolen.
Ferrari, and Jeroen Bleekemolen is back out. Let's hope that was a good pit stop, a clean pit stop for the Ferrari.
There's Craig Dolby handing over to Sean Walkinshaw. Looked clean to me from just watching out the window, and it looked like it was a decent stop. A good pit stop as well from the Nissan boys, because that's been something that has hampered them over the last couple of, well, all season really. The pit stops, oh, that's going to be very close, and just coming out in front is going to be Stefan Rakelmi in front of Valdeno Brito and Attila Brunau at the wheel, and that is a change for position.
Yeah, that was a critical one as well, because it means that by getting ahead of the BMW, that's one less battle you have to worry about. You know, the battle between the Audis and the BMWs was not really, you know, advantage to one or the other. Whereas Maximilian Buch is coming in. I'm surprised he's coming in so early. And is second place, Nicky Thiem. So basically, the principle is once your leaders come in, then everybody's going to follow in. And the first of the lead cars in was the Ferrari. So everybody else is now following the leader, and nobody wants to be out of step, so the Bentley comes to a stop.
So Buch in to hand over to Abril, and we've got Nicky Thiem in to hand over to Frederic Vervisch.
So this is going to be an opportunity for WRT to get this car out ahead of the Bentley, but the Bentley boys doing a good job. There is the Ferrari, and it's going to be Jerome Bleekemolen is going to be not quick enough. The Bentley gets rolling. Where's the Audi? And Audi's further down the pit lane.
It's right at the end of the pit
lane. Still up on
here.
the jacks, and it's not down the tyre. The right, left, rear still. So it's going to be possibly a change for second and third. There is the Ferrari coming down the straight. Looks like the Audi's just about safe.
But there is some damage now on the Audi, on the number 2 Audi, and I'm not sure where it came from, whether it was from the pit stop or not, how long it's been there either, but the left side of the Audi has got some flappage going on up by sort of the rear window. So positions remain the same. There is Maximilian Buch, who's handed over to Abril, who continues to lead the way. Then it's Frederic Vervisch in second place, and Jeroen Bleekemolen in third position. Here's a look at the replay. And there is the damage, and we're not sure where it came from.
We've seen occasions, bits of bodywork becoming detached. There's nothing that would, in ordinary senses, have had contact with that. It just looks like it's self-detached.
Yeah, that was the car that Jean-Michel Barth raced last weekend at Misano in the GT Sports Trophy race, and Jean-Michel Barth actually owns that, and you know, he's a gentleman driver who goes racing in it. WRT run the car, and for this weekend they said, oh, Jean-Michel, do you mind if we borrow it? Well, we'll build it all up again as a new race car, but fundamentally we need one because Audi don't actually have millions of R8s lying around, because they've got the new one coming in for next year, so it's not like they've got
yes,
plenty.
And also, I mean, that was the damage to the car that Van Voren was, I mean, basically all was left was the cockpit.
Yeah. So this is the man that is leading the race at the moment, Nicky Katsberg, at his home race in the Netherlands. He is out in front. He'll be waiting to hand over to Albert von Turnen Taxis. Marcus Vingeloggers come into the pits now to hand over to Meyer Melnoff. There is Albert.
Just to try and get an idea of what the change of driver tyres does. Bleekemolen out now running in the 139s on his, well, that was the best lap of the car. His last lap, Bleekemolen 41.3 against Katsberg doing a 40.7. So that assumes to me that Bleekemolen is caught in traffic, because the pace of the Lamborghini that is now in the lead, but probably due to come in this lap or one more lap, is about what? About 1.5 seconds off fastest race lap to date, which is to Maximilian Buch in the Bentley.
So we've got less than half an hour to go. There is Jeroen Bleekemolen then in that third position, and if things stay like this, it will be 14 points the gap between them as Nick Katsberg comes out towards the final couple of corners. I think he might do one more lap out there, Nick Katsberg. Yeah, it certainly looks as though Albert's not ready to go, and I don't think Nick Katsberg's ready to get out as he comes through the final corner at Arie Luijendijk and out over the start-finish line again to start lap 19. We've got less than an hour to go, less than half an hour to go. We've always had less than an hour to go as Katsberg comes down into turn 1.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see Meyer Melnoff's pace as well, because that's the car that really this Reiter engineering machine is battling with, is Nicky Meyer Melnoff.
So I would assume that we're going to see the Lamborghini coming in at the end of this lap as we go back to Jeroen Bleekemolen. So let's have a look and see what his lap times are. Last lap, 141.3. He's losing, it's getting slower, and there's no traffic obviously around him, and there's certainly nothing that looks close behind that would have been getting in his way. So this is not the kind of pace that I'd imagined So Blancpain to be capable of.
Abril did a 40.4, Vervish did a 40.8, and Blancpain did a 40.8 as well on that last lap. So he's the same pace as Vervish. In now has come Max van Splunteren to hand over to Jules Simkowiak in the 83 HTB Bentley. That had to start down at the back. Sounds like they've got a bit of a problem at the rear, but not too much drama as the car heads away and everyone else finishes their run. Anders Fjordbak handing over to Michael Markussen, the new Danish driver for this weekend. And 27.5 minutes to go. Out they go. The pit stop of the car 333 is under investigation. So the Rinaldi team under investigation for something out there. We didn't really
No, we didn't see that pit speed because we were focusing on the Audi. So we didn't get to see as the two Brazil BMWs are having their little battle between themselves. So Jimenez
and Riquelme's got past them in all of that, hasn't he? Riquelme's made the move past the Brazilian BMW. Oh no, he came out in front, didn't he? And unable to get past Abril. This is on board with Caca Bueno in the 0 BMW. It is Bueno at the wheel now because he's made his pit stop, but hasn't switched over the transponder yet. And Indy Donchi is going to be the last man to come into the pits. There is Nick Katsberg handing over to Albert von Turn and Taxis. And this could see them maybe gain a little bit of time here. I don't think it'll be quite enough to gain them a place, but it will be interesting to see how close they are to the Phoenix Audi and to the 333 Ferrari in front. There is Indy Donchi coming in to hand over to Alexei Karachev, and away now goes the Lamborghini.
Yeah, problem getting it rolling. They just stalled the engine.
No, the engine's still going.
Looking down to the right rear, that as if it hasn't loaded properly onto the hub, so they put the gear gun on it again, but there's an issue and they can't decide what to do. Lift the car up, leave the car on the ground. In the meantime, race leader Van Brill goes through, so they decided to take the wheel off. It looks as if they didn't get the pegs and the dialing in the wheels located, and well, having a look at it, I mean, it's disaster, absolute disaster.
Now away finally goes Albert von Turn and Taxis, but that's a real shame for the rider team. They were running very high up the order, and it had been a good in-lap as well from Nick Katsberg. They could have been there or thereabouts in the battle for kind of 4th position, but it wasn't to be. And so the 88 Reiter Lamborghini drops back down the field.
And of course, for a driver realizing there's an issue in the car, and he's sitting there waiting to be told by the team everything's fine, go, go, go. But you always have that thing in the back of your mind, just is any sort of irregularity, is it a problem? Nicky Katsberg, disappointed, had done a good job, went up to almost the limit of his driving time, and walks away, and clearly, as his Hans Reiter, you can see the look in Hans Reiter's face, and he's not happy either.
No. Not good for them. The man on the mission at the moment is Jules Simkowiak. He's just set the fastest first sector of anyone, a second quicker than Vincent Abril, Vervish and Blancpain in the first sector alone. So something about Simkowiak here. He is an absolute rocket ship. Keep an eye on him. He's at the back of this queue. He's now behind Christopher Mies, who in theory will be getting blue flags if Simkowiak is quick enough to pass him, and should move over to let Simkowiak through, because Mies is a lap down.
Yeah, again, it's the 83 and the #1 car getting together on the racetrack. Simkowiak will like to try and use all the momentum he's currently got. He's closing on the back of the Audi, coming down into Tarzan Hep, not sufficiently close to think about making a manoeuvre down the inside. Let's go back into the Lamborghini garage, and Nicky Katsberg sits there, and well, they'll probably work out the reasons, the problem. But this is going to be a tough situation, because Simkowiak has shown real pace here all through the weekend, and we'll want to give Christopher Mies the shortest amount of attention he can.
Absolutely. And so the winner from all of that pit stop action is Nicky Melnoff, who's up to 4th place. He's gained a spot, and a bit of a dislodged front nose on the Bentley. Look how quick he is through Sky Flag. That's absolutely superb stuff from Simkowiak.
The nose of the car has been slightly just to the angle.
No, it has.
It's just been dislodged. Is that since Simkowiak got in, or is that how it was before it came in?
Not sure. It's starting to flap around now a little bit, isn't it? But he's...
I mean, that's had a good old dig up the back of something or other, and I wonder just whether that was the Audi, or whether there's a damage on the left rear quarter of the Audi car, just to tell, because the camera just pan so quickly. The bonnet potentially, or the grille surround, which is really the oh, there we go, Maxi. That is it moving up and down?
It is, yeah.
Yes, it is. It's flapping quite vigorously.
So as they flapping vigorously, like all the birds that are here at the beach at this time of year. So we've got a quarter of the race to go, and this is Jules Simkowiak, who was online to be the star of the weekend, really, until his teammate ended up in the gravel and qualifying. Here comes the attack from Christopher Mies, looking to the inside of the BMW, under the braking for Tarzan. We're on board with Mies. He's not quite going to get it done, and Jules Simkowiak will go, okay, I'll try and go all the way around the outside. I think Mies might have given Attila Abreu a little bit of a nudge there, and he gets through, and Simkowiak follows through as well.
Well,
and then for the number 1 car, that was not for position, so it doesn't even matter, but Simkowiak's move is now for 8th place.
Well, that was a strong move by Simkowiak. Saw the opportunity, made it forcefully, but got through in relatively clean terms, and again is still facing the rear of the Audi of Christopher Mies. He wants to get ahead of that car, because if for no other reason, just for his own pride.
Yep.
But the grille, the surround on the grille of the Bentley is, well, it hasn't got any better, put it that way.
No. And these two will be rapidly closing in, I imagine, on Cacabueno, who's in 7th position. And if they could take those positions and then start 7th on the grid for the qualifying race tomorrow, I think they'd be very happy, Jules Simkowiak and Max van Splunteren, who are in a Silver Cup battle with Anders Fjordbak, and at the moment are leading Silver Cup class. So it looks as though they could be set to take the title tomorrow. As you can see, it's really flapping away now. That front part of Simkowiak's car. There's the other Bentley. No damage to report.
No, and running again. Vincent Abril behind the wheel, got a 5.4 second advantage over Frederik Vervisch, 2nd place Audi, and then Jerome Bleekemolen a further 3 seconds behind. So our anticipated pace from Bleekemolen in the Ferrari, in really absolutely beautiful conditions here in Zandvoort this afternoon, hasn't been realised. I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's we're expecting a little quicker from Bleekemolen, but maybe it doesn't suit the Ferrari. The Ferrari only qualified in 4th place on the grid, of course, and so you'd expect it maybe. And that last lap, he's only 1/10 of a second slower than Vincent Abril, and only 0.003 of a second slower than Frederik Vervisch there in 2nd place. And there is Jerome Bleekemolen. It's his first time in a GT3 Ferrari 458, but he's raced the GTE versions and other versions of the car over in the States, so it's the same fundamentals. And there's Nicky Meyer-Melnoff running in 4th place.
He's got nobody chasing him, and he's got too much of a distance to 3rd place, 12 seconds behind the 3rd place, but 9 seconds ahead of Sean Walkinshaw in the Nissan, which has done us here. That pit stop clearly was a positive pit stop for the 173 Nissan, so they're up to 5th.
They've kept their position, which is all they wanted to do, really. They're only 2.2 seconds, though, ahead of Stefan Rakelmi, and Rakelmi's closing in about 0.4 of a second per lap. So there's the Nissan, then you've got Rakelmi, then you've got the BMW, then you've got the charging Mies and Simkowiak. So it may be that Walkinshaw finds himself under pressure for that 5th place before the end of the race. Pit stop for car 1 is under investigation as well. Christopher Mies and Robin Freund says if they need any more troubles out there.
Well, that would be the metaphor, the icing on the cake, if that was to be an issue. So how much more can go wrong for you?
Well, yeah, what I was going to say, what a switch around from Misano, where before the qualifying race 1 week ago today, I was trying to figure out whether they could wrap up the title in the qualifying race, and they couldn't quite do it. They'd have to wait for the Sunday. Now, 7 days later, they're about to lose the lead of the championship and then start the final championship deciding race from 15th on the grid.
And all of that came about because of an engine change.
Yeah.
And the engine change was done because they felt that was the right thing to do. They weren't happy with the performance of the original engine, so they put in a fresh engine. And the consequences of that action led to what we had seen in Misano and what we're now seeing played out here.
It's like sliding doors, isn't it?
Didn't like that movie much myself, but anyway.
You prefer this? This is better than sliding doors.
This is reality. That was just fantasy stuff.
Well, it may well be fantasy stuff for Vincent Abril at the moment, because he and Max Bucher looking set to take the lead of the championship if things stay like this. There he is across the line again, and does a 1 minute 40.5, quickest man on the circuit. That's not 100% true. Actually, it's Jules Simkowiak who's the quickest man on the circuit in the other Bentley. He's absolutely flying around here. This is such an impressive drive from Jules Simkowiak. Vervish in second place, Blancpain in third, fourth. Here is Nicky Meyer-Melnhof. And the car number 1 investigation for the pit stop is there was a wheel gun still in the pit lane when the car was released, is the accusation.
I mean, if it's a proven accusation, then there's going to be a penalty, and I mean, there's just heaping more and more issues onto that number 1 car. Currently it's down, well, it's running still effectively in last place.
You could give it a 16-lap penalty and it wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah, I mean, you can only start at the back of the grid, whatever happens, and that's going to be, I think, the destiny, sadly, of the number 1 car. The car that is now, well, not yet over, not a done and dusted deal here, but looks as if it will start second in the championship as opposed to leading it, as you just mentioned a minute ago, almost saying can we get it all over and done with in Misano. So how fortunes changed. Back to Vincent Abril, 6.1 second advantage now over Vervish every lap, pulling away. That last lap he pulled away 0.6 of a second. So again, Vincent Abril, we've seen him actually on some occasions be put into this car for qualifying rather than Max Buch. The team maybe thought that 1 lap pace of Abril might be marginally better than Max Buch. Max Buch, of course, got a great track record of just metronomically knocking out lap after lap after lap in the race. But in fact, Buch qualified this car, and he qualified it on pole position.
Simkowiak is actually past Christopher Mies. I don't know if we saw that out there, but he's not. Oh, and off Simkowiak's just gone off at the chicane, and I think he's managed to recover. Just saw it at the top of the frame there, and Jules Simkowiak, just as I'm bigging him up, has had a little off-track excursion.
Did that surround off the nose of the bench? Did that get in his vision, or
yeah,
maybe obscure something? I don't know.
We'll try and catch up with what happened there.
I'd like to see that one again.
Simkowiak. Well down the order, there he is, and he comes across the line. I don't think he's lost any time, actually, has he?
Bodywork still, well, it's just hanging on by,
still flapping.
It's still hanging on by a couple of more clips. So it's when the car slows down, then the piece of bodywork falls back into position. There we go.
Here's a look at the replay on board with Christopher Mies. There we go.
Oh, it was a big under brakes, just simply locked it up under brakes.
Went proper off cross country there, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that was a big, I mean, just all of a sudden these cars got ABS, so
yeah.
Whether that was something went wrong with the ABS, or whether just simply he was just too aggressive on the brakes. Of course, the brakes do get a bit of a hammering around Zandvoort. There's a few places where there's a heavy amount of braking, and maybe just down into that S's, down at, they call it Hans Ernst Bocht, whatever. The Bocht is this
turn,
corner,
turn,
yeah.
Anyway, this is Stefan Rakelmi back on the back of Walkinshaw, and yeah, they do have ABS, but the ABS doesn't, as you're saying, doesn't. You can still physically lock the brakes if you push it too hard. ABS is just a system to try and prevent that from happening.
It should be an anti-lock system, but it depends how you adjust it. You can have it adjusted aggressively or very gently, depending. But that, I just wonder, was maybe, I mean, Simkowiak has been doing a great job being very, competitive, very aggressive. Has he just overheated the brakes? So the pedal might have gone long, and that might have been the cause of it just looked like it was a brake issue that caused him, maybe more than something he had done. He was caught out bad, that's what I'm trying to say.
Quickest man on the circuit last time through was Nicky Meyer-Melnhof, 0.8 of a second quicker than Vincent Abril, the race leader.
What does that say?
Not sure.
It's not often we get to say that Nicky is the quickest man on the racetrack, and the Austrian will be very happy with that little bit of praise. But there we see the battle right now for 5th place, less than half a second as they come through the towers on Herben, and Sean Walkinshaw seriously under pressure. Craig Dolby on the pit wall keeping an eye on his young protege.
You can see how quickly Rakelmi's been closing in. Rakelmi, a very fast racer, of course, and he's starting to get into the grips of this car. We were saying it last weekend in Misano, but at the start of the season didn't really look like he was going to have the pace, but now he's becoming a top driver. He's won GP2 races in the past. I think he won GP2 at Monaco, which was the first time a Monegasque had won in Monaco for a long time. Looks to the inside at turn 10, but he's not going to be quite close enough there.
No, you've got to be absolutely square alongside the car if you want to do it to turn 10, and Sean Walkinshaw had sufficient ground to enable him to take the normal line and then be sure that contact wasn't going to occur. Marcus Winkelhockey looks pretty happy with what his teammate's doing. Isn't often the case, but this occasion he's very happy with what looks like a solid 4th place, but more importantly a solid 2nd row starting position for the championship ride.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a great position for them to start. As out over the start-finish straight comes this battle for 5th place. It's also nose to tail between, oh no, that's Bueno and Christopher Mees, isn't it? So that doesn't really count, but Simkoviak is still trying to close in on them as well. So there is Kaka Bueno in 7th place in the BMW Team Brazil car. But this is the nose to tail squabble for 5th spot, and crucially as well, the inside line for the race tomorrow. It's such a tight start line here at Zandvoort. It's not like Slovakia Ring, for example, where if you're on the inside or outside, it doesn't matter because everyone goes everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
here it's quite super too.
I mean, Zandvoort is an old school circuit,
yeah,
and all the things that were totally normal, or maybe very futuristic when the circuit was created back in the late 40s, early 50s, of course are now a bit of an anathema to the young drivers. They go, well, there's no runoff, there's no room. Get on with it, live with it. It's a racetrack.
There's a great, as you come into Zandvoort and down the paddock, there's all quotes from drivers, and one of them is Michael Schumacher saying, are we here to race or are we here to drink coffee? And it's that kind of attitude that you have here at Zandvoort. It's fantastic stuff.
Wouldn't it have been wonderful to see Michael race here in a Formula 1 car?
Yeah, it would have been amazing. It would have been amazing. 11 minutes to go. This is the battle for 5th position. And it's still Sean Walkinshaw holding the position at the moment. And he's got one eye on Bathurst this weekend. He has a racing team as well, does Sean Walkinshaw. But at the moment he'll have, well, maybe just one eye on the mirror. He always darts to the inside coming to break into Tarzan. Is that just to get a check of where someone is behind you?
I mean, it's just to be sure. I mean, he's got the pace on the straight, so he pulls away from the Audi. He's not really under threat, but it's just you know, he's got the ability or the right to do that. He's not blocking, he's just marking his bit of racetrack.
10.5 minutes to go. This is the flat-out run up towards Skyflack. Well, it's not flat out, actually. In race trim, they're kind of lifting and feathering on this right-hand approach to the tricky downhill right-hander. And then out towards the Masters corner.
As long as the Nissan can keep the gap around the back of the circuit, I mean, that Audi closes up, you can see into turn 9. Stefano Telli just wondering, I mean, he could like to give Raquelme a few tips, but again into turn 10 where we saw the Audi the previous lap looking to slip up the inside, but not quite close enough for this occasion. So once you get in a straight line, the torque of the V6 twin turbo engine and the Nissan just has got that advantage. Traction maybe fractionally more towards the Audi with the weight in the center of the car, more towards the rear of the car. Now, how close can you get to a Nissan coming up into the penultimate corner onto the straight, lights flashing? I'm sure that's going to be really, really, I mean, that's bullying almost, isn't it? I mean, is that fair? But there's the story. Once you get on the straight, adios. See you at the end of the straight.
And down they come towards Tarzan again, and just 0.4 of a second between them. Meanwhile, Jules Simkoviak is back on the back of that fight. He's the quickest man on the circuit at the moment, quicker than anyone else out there on the track. He's been, I know I keep going on about it, but mightily impressive this weekend, Simkoviak, and nail-biting times now for Stefano Telli as the Audi tries to find an opportunity to get past, and I think it will be into that sort of 9-10 area that he'll try something, Raquelme, because that's where the strengths of the Audi are.
Yeah, I mean,
through the low-speed corners.
Anywhere you can get full throttle and sustain it, the Nissan's going to pull away from the Audi. Here, in Master Corner, and then down into turn 9, followed by turn 10. Track position in 9 will give you the key as to whether he thinks he can make a manoeuvre into 10, but he's not close enough.
It looks to the inside, not close enough, but big news for the championship. A drive-through penalty for car 333, the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari, for pit lane infringement, and that infringement was not controlling the wheel. So they've obviously let a wheel bounce out there. Meanwhile, oh, in too deep goes Walkinshaw. Through goes Riquelme. Riquelme up into that position, and now Bueno's going to try and get through as well. And Walkinshaw might end up getting a little bit mugged here. The Brazilian BMW's on the outside coming towards the penultimate corner. Not close enough. This is all going to play into the hands of Jules Simkowiak. There you can see confirmation at the top. Drive-through penalty for 333, but now Walkinshaw's under pressure.
Yeah, he made it coming out of turn 10. He was being threatened by the Audi. He went to the right of the track, dirty part of the track, down into the Hans Ernst chicane, and wow, it just saved.
And Simkowiak goes to the inside to get past Mies. They're going to hit each other, and Mies almost ends up in the gravel again, and Kaka Bueno dives back through to get past Simkowiak, but Simkowiak's still there on the outside coming up to Gerlach box, and he goes through. So Simkowiak makes up the place. The front bumper's almost totally gone.
Well, that's the charade round the bonnet, nevertheless.
7th place now for the Bentley.
Wow. I mean, that was tough. I mean, it came down the inside, forced the issue with the number 1 Audi. The Brazil BMW slipped up along and tried to get through. And in the meantime,
there's a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, I mean, there you can see, if there's one clip him holding that body part in place, suspect it's not going to stay on an awful lot longer once it gets onto the straight. Wind pressure probably will be enough to break that away, which in a sense will be a blessing. The trouble is, where does it go when it gets released?
Yeah, well, what a great bit of action that was. It all started with Walkinshaw under pressure from Riquelme, and then just making a little bit of a mistake into the chicane.
Well, he didn't make the mistake was going so far right, going down into the chicane. He got onto the part of the racetrack that was the dirty part of the racetrack. I mean, he got on the brakes. There was no bike, no grip, and there was a gift.
In comes Jeroen Bleekemolen then to serve his drive-through penalty. I think he's going to come out right in this fantastic scrap we've just seen, because he was about 20 seconds or so in front of them, and so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there as Bleekemolen comes through. So keep an eye out for this squabbling pack. He's at the end of the pit lane now. Here they come over the start-finish straight, and Riquelme is going to get past Bleekemolen. No, so it's only a 1-position drop for Jeroen Bleekemolen and the Rinaldi Ferrari team. So that is going from 3rd to 4th is not the worst thing that could have happened. You're going to be on the same row of the grid. You just lose 1 championship point. In the grand scheme of things, that was not too bad.
Probably not, but I mean, it was still a disappointment, and it just shows how easy it is, all the work that's done on the racetrack. And normally it's the other way around. There's the back of Simkowiak's Bentley, and there's bits of tape also now flapping around. We can't quite see whether the bonnet shroud has finally detached itself, but up the hill into Schijfloch and in great corner. You make your commitment, you try and make your apex. It's bumpy in the middle of the corner, the back end sort of moving around, then up, and then all of a sudden immediately into this master's corner, this right hand corner, which is very difficult to make the apex for. There is right now the Ferrari, and that's done in 4th place.
Yep, so Meir Melnoff now is up into 3rd position for the Phoenix Audi team, and actually Bleekemolen's going to be under pressure here from Riquelme. I thought he'd be able to pull away. There's Vadim Kogai, the man behind really the Rinaldi team. Doesn't run it as such, but is a big part of getting it up and running. And Bleekemolen here is under big pressure from Stefan Riquelme. Simkowiak has dropped off the back of Walkinshaw at the moment and isn't quite close enough to make a challenge, but Simkowiak was having all that fun down into turn 1 last time through. So out onto the start-finish straight. 4 minutes to go, and Stefan Riquelme is right up behind the Ferrari, but you know where the Ferrari's quick. In a straight line, it's very difficult to get past the Rinaldi car as they get on the brakes into Tarzan. 4 minutes to go. Watty's just heading down to speak to, I'd imagine, Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch, who, if they win the race, will take the lead of the championship. And there is the car that will lose the lead of the championship. Christopher Mies and Robin Frey. It's going to be fascinating to hear what they have to say after all of this, and whether Freyns believed he got touched or not, because I guess that's part of the story, is whether Freyns thought he got attacked. We couldn't tell from the outboard cameras. As they swing into turn number 9, this is the battle for 4th position. Good drive this from Riquelme. They started down in 9th position after they couldn't quite get it hooked up in qualifying. Now here's the battle between Walkinshaw and Simkowiak for 6th position. Simkowiak right there. It looks as though we have finally lost that, the part of the nose of the car. On the brakes into the chicane. 8 seconds is Vincent Abril's lead over Frederick Vervisch in 2nd place. And in 3rd spot at the moment is Nicky Meyer-Melnhof. Another podium for them this season, but they've been a lot stronger, Phoenix Audi, actually, this year. Last year there was quite a clear difference between them and the WRT squad, but this year they've managed to really get back into the fight, and a matching WRT on occasion. Onto the brakes into the 1st corner. Jules Simkowiak in that white Bentley, the Dutchman, at his home race, trying to put pressure on the always evolving motorsport Nissan of Sean Walkinshaw, who's running in that 6th spot at the moment that Simkowiak will want, because it's 1 row further ahead on the grid. It's also 1 championship point. Onto the brakes into Skyflak. It's all calmed down a little bit over 4th place. Stefan Riquelme not close enough. Are these guys closing in? Last lap, 41.8. Yeah, these guys closed in by a couple of tenths of a second on the previous lap. I don't think we'll get to the point where the fight is brought to them, because Vincent Abril is going to be starting his final lap in a couple of moments' time. And he has just started his final lap. Over the line goes Vincent Abril. Just 1 more lap, and he and Maximilian Buch will lead the championship, I think for the first time this season. Yeah, I don't think Buch and Abril have led the championship so far. I'll have to work that out in a moment, but through the final corner they come to start the final lap. There is Maximilian Buch and Vincent Abril's Bentley. A look to the inside from Riquelme, but he's too far back to get past Blancpain. And still Jules Simkowiak is not close enough either to pass Sean Walkinshaw in front of him. Here's Buch and Abril's Bentley. Superb, commanding drive this one, really, you have to say. There is Maximilian Buch watching on nervously as we approach the culmination of the race. Towards the penultimate corner on the circuit. Through the right-hander comes Vincent Abril for the final time. He and Max Buch took pole position. Buch took the lead at the start, held the lead at the start, and Abril has just had to bring it home to win the race and take the lead of the championship with 1 race to go. What a showdown we're in for in the main race tomorrow here at Zandvoort. 2nd across the line, Frederick Vervisch and Nicky Thiem. Good job for the WRT boys, and it's going to be a podium for Nicky Meyer-Melnhof and Marcus Winkelhock. Good run from the Phoenix Audi squad. It'll be 4th place for Blancpain and Norbert Siedler, sorry, so that won't be the result they want. They're going to lose a bit of ground in the championship, but they're not out of it yet. And look at this towards the line. It's just going to be the Nissan of Walkinshaw who holds on, ahead of Jules Simkowiak in the Bentley for 6th and 7th positions. But there's Maximilian Buch. And there is a very happy Bentley team, because they now lead the Blancpain Sprint Series Championship. They also take the overall championship, the combination of endurance and sprint, lead down to just 19 points going into the final race tomorrow. So another moment like that for Mies and Freyntz, and they could win the overall series as well. But Abril and Buch the winners here in Zandvoort, and you can see what an important result that is for them. As Bouk now heads up to Parc Fermé to wait for his teammate to return. And another victory for Maximilian Bouk.
Well, could you make it up, eh?
Let's have a look at the results then after 35 laps of racing, and it is the Bentley HTP Continental GT3 of Vincent Abril and Maximilian Bouk that win, 5.7 seconds clear of Frédéric Verviche and Niki Team. Third place is the Phoenix Audi of Nicky Meermanhoff and Marcus Finkelhock. Fourth place for the Rinaldi Ferrari, so they drop back a little in the championship fight. Raquelme Nortelli, fifth. Sixth place for Walkinshaw and Dolby. This will also be the grid positions for the race tomorrow. Simkoviak was superb and finished in 7th place. Cacabueno and Sergio Jimenez in 8th. Attila Abreu and Valdeno Brito in 9th spots. Marco Asma and Roman Mavlanov completing the top 10. Bononomi and Salaquadra in 11th. A slow pit stop for the Reiter team. Mean Albert von Turnen Taxis and Nick Katzberg finished down in 12th position. But they're 15th on the grid for the race tomorrow, for the final main race of the season. Christopher Mies and Robin Freitz, they have got a lot of work to do. There is the 83 Bentley coming into the pits, and just a couple of cars behind is the winning Bentley as they make their way down. And I mean, it was a fairly uneventful race really for the Bentley crew, wasn't it? And I'm sure that's absolutely what they would have wanted. But nevertheless, it's been a fantastic drive. And once Abril got in, he didn't really have any pressures at all. They know, though, that the work is not done. They may now lead the championship, but they've still got 1 hour of racing to do tomorrow. And very happy Vincent Abril. There's Winkelhock, and they're all over the moon with that, because that has really, well, it's totally swung the championship, hasn't it? Absolutely fantastic stuff. So Maximilian Bouk and Vincent Abril win the final qualifying race of the season. Let's hear, first of all, by the looks of things, from Maximilian Bouk. He and Abril, race winners.
Max Bouk, congratulations, you've won the race. You're ahead of the championship and you're starting in pole position.
Yeah, good day. I had a good start. It was my main focus at the beginning, to have a good start. Then maybe pulling a gap, but not too hard to be consistent with my tires until the end of my stint, which I made quite well, I think. And yeah, tried to make it safe, because we know that number 1 Audi, I got it over radio and I saw him that he's out, so we tried to make it safe, and I'm really, really happy. But we have 1 more day to go tomorrow.
Now, did you go before the lights went green or not? Because you got a massive jump on the front rows here.
No, not.
Are you sure now? I'm going to have to question you, because how could you have gotten such an advantage?
I don't know. I saw green and
I'm pulling your leg. Don't worry, Max. Okay. You had a great start. Avril, Vincent. Great job by your teammate, super job by you. Clear air all the way through. Now, pole position and a point in the lead in the championship.
We couldn't have expected much better arriving here. This guy did a fantastic job on the Saturday. So today, on qualifying, he did a mega lap. And for sure, it makes my job much easier. But now tomorrow is when it counts. So we are in the perfect position. So we should keep it that way, I hope.
And more importantly, the car's just like it's out of the showroom, unmarked.
It is, yeah, as always, huh?
Brands Hatch. Anyway, well done, guys. Well done.
Yes, Maximilian Bouk ended up in the wall at Brands Hatch. So they take the victory. It's Frédéric Verviche and Niki Team who are our second place finishers. A great race from them, and a quiet race again from them as well. It wasn't the most astonishingly stunning of races, but it has really lined us up for tomorrow. Let's hear from Frédéric Verviche and Niki Team. There with John.
Niki Team, you're very happy with your position, but you just ultimately didn't have the pace.
No, first of all, say thank you to be here. It's since Spa I haven't been driving Blancpain, but to be here and help the team is it's quite fun and a good series. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, for the race, the Bentley is tremendously quick, especially on the straight. So it's not so much we can do. We tried to do it over this distance and in the pit stop, but it didn't work. But yeah, we had a good pace, I would say. So yeah, P2, I shouldn't be complaining.
You're not complaining, but obviously you're going to be in the front row of the grid tomorrow. You're going to have the same scenario, lights red, go to green. How are you going to beat the Bentley into turn one?
Yeah, tomorrow's a new day, and I have a very fast teammate, so I'm sure he will figure something out.
Well, you better do it together. Frederick, come in.
Yeah.
Well, second place, you must be delighted.
But I can't remember I had a podium, so it's quite a long time. So so very nice to drive at Nicky and then to have the chance with WRT. So yeah, very happy.
So just asking Nicky about the start tomorrow. We saw how Robin Freehan's got caught out by the lights going green. How are you going to avoid that?
Yeah, I don't know. Try to be, I don't know, have a better start. What can I say? I mean, it was a bit unlucky, and then try to be very early on throttle. So that's the only thing I can do.
You can't do more. Many thanks.
Okay. So Frederick Vervisch, very happy with that one. And I make this the first time this season that the Bentley boys of Abril and Buch have led the championship. And what a moment to take the lead. I mean, not quite the perfect moment. That would have been in the race tomorrow. But nevertheless, to go into the final race with a 1-point advantage, that is fantastic. So now let's hear from our third place finishers, Meermanhoff and Winkelhock.
Nicky, Frederick Vervisch is saying he's delighted to be on the podium. You're on the podium, but did you expect it?
No, not at all. I crossed the finish line. I had a lonely race, but I had a good pace, apparently. My team boss told me. And I crossed the finish line, and all of a sudden, P3, go to the podium, paddock, and I was really surprised. So you're surprised as you are, probably.
Listen, I can't believe you're that surprised. You're a bit too savvy for that.
No. I think I'm less surprised than you are. But it's all good. We are on the podium. That's all that counts. And he did a great first stint, so we're really happy. So for tomorrow on the podium again, like Portimao, 3 and 2, maybe 1 tomorrow, we push maximum.
All right, Nicky. Marcus, at the start, we saw a great start by the Bentley, but poor Robin Freehan's got dropped. What did you see going into turn one? We weren't sure if there was any contact between maybe the Ferrari and the number 1 Audi.
I think I should watch it again on television. Maybe there it looks a bit different, but what I could see, there was a little touch between the Ferrari and the number 1 Audi. That was from my point of view. So and then I just saw that the number 1 Audi just turned around backwards in the gravel bed.
Okay, well that news, we'll let you go to the podium and we'll have a look again. Thank you.
Okay, so that's very interesting. Marcus Winkelhock saying that he did think there was contact between them, but if there was, it was the tiniest of touches, wasn't it? And it'll be interesting to see what comes of that, and no doubt we will speak to Robin Freins a little later on, not on air because he's probably disappeared somewhere, but we'll speak to him and let you know for the race tomorrow. Make sure you do join us for the race tomorrow. It gets underway at 1 o'clock, so we'll be on air at about 12:30 local time to get ready for the action. Now you can see the podium at the back. Alexei Kadachev and Indy Donchi winning in Pro-Am. Jules Simkowiak and Max van Splunteren winning in the Silver Cup class. But it's Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch, the Frenchman and the German, who are the winners of the race overall, and they are there waiting to head out onto the podium and receive their trophies.
There we go, podium ceremony of this final qualifying race at Circuit Zandvoort.
So out onto the top step of the podium and to the top of the championship go Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buch. Nicky Team in second place along with Frederick Vervisch and Marcus Winkelhock and Nicky Meermanhoff in third position. At the top, then you see Renaud Dufour, the man in charge of the HTP team, out there on the podium as well. Another Bentley win, this time in Silver Cup. Jules Simkowiak and Max van Splunteren. And presumably Renault will just stay there. Oh no, we've got another HTP representative coming up as well. And there is Indy Donchip on the podium at his home race. And he's the only Dutchman we've got out there, isn't he? Apart from the 2 Dutchmen who won Silver Cup, of course. Alexei Karachev and Indy Dunci, the winners in the Pro-Am class for GT Russian Racing. But now it's the win for HTP. So Buch and Abril on the top step. And there are the trophies handed out to the race winners of the qualifying race here in Zandvoort. Victory for Buch and Abril, the lead of the championship for Buch and Abril by 1 point, and pole position for tomorrow's main race for Buch and Abril. The team's trophy for HTP, Nicky Thiem and Frederik Vervisch finishing in 2nd place on their first race together in the Blancpain Sprint Series. And 3rd place, another podium for Nicky Meyer-Melnoff and Marcus Winkelhock. And the trophies handed to Jules Simkowiak and Max van Splunteren. Simkowiak on the left, and on the right there, van Splunteren. And Nicky Meyer-Melnoff doing his customary podium selfie. And there's Indy Donchi and Alexei Karachev receiving their podium trophies for 3rd spot. So wonderful drive from Buch and Abril, all pretty straightforward in the end, but they are top of the podium and top John of the championship.
Yes, indeed. And just when I was down doing the interviews down in Park Ferme, I caught one of the guys from Audi, Frederic, and I couldn't catch his surname. Yeah. I said, look, what happened in turn 1? Was there or not contact between the number 1 Audi and the 333 Ferrari? And they said, we believe, Robin believes there was. Now, we haven't seen anything that would indicate it, but at that point when the car's on the outside of the corner, cool tyres, low pressures, everything is at its most balanced. So it wouldn't take an awful lot of effort. I mean, it wouldn't be like a punch, it would be like a little gentle push.
Just off balance.
I just caught it off balance, and it could only just be the most critical corner of the car, the right rear, just a fraction, just lean on it. But, we have seen nothing on air that indicates there was, but Robin Vriends, I understand, is convinced it did occur.
And Vinky thought he saw it as well,
yes,
from what he saw, but what's done is done. Now they've got to focus on the main race tomorrow, and from 15th on the grid, and your championship rival starting on pole, what can they do?
Well, I mean, there's so many factors that could come into play, the unpredictable, but really it's a mountain, and all they can hope for is an external assistance.
This is how the points stand going into the final main race of the season. Vincent Abril and Max Buch now lead by 1 point over Robin Freitz and Laurens van Thor. Norbert Siedler then in 4th place is going to be 15 points off the top, and as a result he's still in with a shot if everything goes badly. Christopher Mies there up into 10th place alongside Enzo Eads. Sergio Jimenez and Caca Bueno not picking up any points either. And no points really, no changes anywhere further down in the order, because their points only went down to 6th position for that race. So that's the conclusion of the final Blancpain Sprint Series qualifying race of the season. An incredibly entertaining race and an incredibly dramatic way to start the weekend. Here's how it looks in terms of the overall GT series. In both sprint and endurance, the combined points means that it's just 19 points now that Max Buch is behind Robin Freitz and Laurens van Thor. So another good day tomorrow. Max Buch could walk away champion of overall and champion of sprint as well. And what a performance that would be for him. There's further down the order, Stippler and Mies there in 12th and 13th position. But make sure you join us tomorrow. The race gets underway at 1 o'clock local time. We'll be on air from about 12:30 tomorrow. Please join us to see who will win win the 2015 Blancpain Sprint Series.